All right, we are back. Welcome, everybody, to the question and answer session with Astral and Zark on this 24-hour live stream. I forgot to mention, this is, I guess I'm just going to have to say this during the recording. For those of you who don't know, we reached our goal of 1,000 so far, $1,000 raised. We're actually at $1,200, just about $1,199.99. So, yeah, that's gonna go up a little bit more.
We got some oil daddies in chat today.
Yes. Goal is going to be moved to $2,000 because save changes. All right. There we go. So, and if we reach 2,000, I'll give away a LTI Avenger Titan game package from CIG as well. So we reach to that point. I'm not doing 5,000. I'm just going up to 1,000. The next one after that will be 5,000, and I'll give away a spirit, a C2 spirit, LTI, brand new with the fancy skin that you get with it. So, all right. With that all being said, and if you're watching this after the post recorded, I'm sorry. You have to be here live to win. It's just the only way you can do that. But yeah. And Kodiak, no, the Star Wars Legion models are not pre-painted. You have to paint them and assemble them, sort of.
Are they in their do they have the roster like Warhammer miniatures have, or are they just
they're
you have to cut them out or not?
You have to cut them. No, you do have to cut them out a little bit. They're like plastic. They're the same kind of plastic you see with like army men plastic.
Oh,
so
okay.
like the most you have to do is like attach their guns, and that's about it. But like they're almost all done already. It's just like one thing you add on to them with super glue. So, all right. So let's pull questions from the chat. We only have 4 questions so far. So if y'all want to ask more questions, feel free because we're going to get through this a lot. Zal asks, what is your opinion about the attributes? No, we already talked about. Let's go through you all again. This is actually good conversation. It'll go on a little bit. What is your opinion about attributes and skills Tarkov-esque stuff for 4.0? Speculation of how it might properly work in the verse. Let's start with you, Astral, on this one, because you don't have any preconceived notions compared to the rest of us. So, what do you think of this?
Well, I made a joke on Twitter last night, and I think I also said it on my stream yesterday when they were talking about it. But I was saying I can't wait to walk into Hurston and see people lighting campfires all down the road in a line to raise their campfire skill like they used to do in old school RuneScape.
Yeah.
For anyone who remembers that. But in all seriousness, I think it's an interesting idea, and I think it kind of depends on how they do it, because I understand that they're trying to make it so that like if your character is more familiar at doing something, that you'll be a little bit better at doing it than someone who is maybe less experienced in shooting a gun or doing takedowns or stuff like that. But I think also a lot of there's kind of been a sentiment that I've seen on like Spectrum and stuff that's a little outside the scope of what people are looking for in Star Citizen. That's a little more World of Warcrafty or whatever, like having to like quote unquote grind up your skills or whatever. And I think it's something that they'll have to there's kind of a fine line that they have to walk, if they want to make it work without making it too gamified, and potentially ruining the like immersion or like realism that people are looking for with Star Citizen. But I also think that it's a really interesting idea, and I think that I think that it makes sense why they want to do it that way. Because obviously if you're like a bounty hunter who goes out and does like FPS missions all the time, you might be you might have like just like slightly better gun handling than someone who is
Yeah.
running cargo all the time.
As Atira put it, like he put it, is like sometimes you'll be able to like look down the scope faster because he was in the army, so he had that kind of experience. Like when you train, you get into those modes where you can move into the combat modes much faster, just because you've experienced it, and it's like muscle memory.
Just like hold it steady, or have a little more. Have a little more control over it, something like that, or that's just one example of the potential things. But I think there's also something to be said about like how are they going to prevent people from exploiting it to just so they can just like grind their stats to a ludicrous level. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I was kind of joking about the like campfire lighting thing before, but someone in my stream chat brought up what if you had like a computer and a laptop, and you made an alt account and logged in on your alt account on your laptop, and then got in the Carrack and set your respawn in the Carrack, and then just went on your main account and just kept doing takedowns, and then respawning in the medbed and the Carrack, and just like farm. So I think that's something that they will have to look out for, as far as like trying to prevent people from exploiting the system.
So just for the takedowns, this, for example, wouldn't be possible even now, because the Carrack will not be able to revive people. You would need something that's tier 3 medbed, and using the medbed on the ship will cost resources. So reviving someone might be actually pretty expensive if you do it on your own. So if you do this loophole, we say, every kill might cost you, let's say 10 grand. 10,000 per kill.
Let's think about it in a different way, Zark. They also talked about how moving boxes was a way you can do it. Yeah. How do you prevent something? There's I follow. I don't play a lot of it, but I follow a lot of zombie Project Zomboid, and they have a similar system. And there was an exploit for you to get your, I think, athletics or your stamina or your strength up, which was called pushing trees, where if you just constantly bumped into trees, you would, every time you did it, you'd gain a little bit of experience. So if you just sat there idling, pushing trees, like bouncing into trees over and over again, eventually your stamina meter would go, or your fitness or whatever, you would just shoot all the way to the top.
Yeah.
Because you're just doing that. And that kind of exploit will be found somehow with CIGs. So
yeah.
So just because for the chat, sorry, I got this mixed up because we have tier 3 injuries that required tier 1 medbed.
Yeah. It's tier 3 is tier 3. It's still tier 3 is tier 3 injuries, which is tier 3, but tier 1. It's the opposite of what you think it is, Yeah.
But even for the exploit, so first of all, the skill system is nothing new.
Yeah.
If you have preconceived notions, skill system sort of was always in the talks. And important, not just in a positive way. If you sit just in your chair, your stamina goes down. If you eat the wrong things, if you take too much drugs, too much medicine, your stats go down. So even if you push them up, they can also degrade. So I will argue that pushing stats you don't use up will only give you a very temporal boost. Like, let's say, okay, you can push a tree in Star Citizen to push your stamina. But all you do as a player is driving your health C from A to B, scanning the indexes for what to buy and driving further. So you spend 40 hours pushing your stamina up, and then you play, and within the next 10 hours, it's gone.
Yeah.
So this might actually be the thing, because those.
But I think inversely, you could have someone who all they do in the verse is they do like FPS combat and
And it will
stuff
go
like
up.
that, and they will, but then they do go, and they go, like, when they aren't playing, they AFK pushing a tree.
Yeah.
And then when they are playing, they are still running around and shooting people.
Yeah, I can see those. I can see those issues. I can also see the fixes for them, which is soft caps and
just put a soft cap on it, and say, like,
and degradation.
Like, you can only go up to a certain point, and then also degradation.
I mean, that's the first thing. We have the Citizen. We are very realistic. There are some things where we diverge from the reality, but if you push a stat, the stat will only have so and so much. And it might sound much, but even if we say, okay, if you train, you can carry something that's 50% heavier. Let's just say 50% or even 100% is the cap. So if you pick something up, you can pick up twice the amount like another person. It's not even that far-fetched. But now you are heavier, you have more muscles. I'm pretty sure that your energy consumption will go up. You will need to eat more, drink more. So all of a sudden, going AFK and pushing the tree is not possible, because within an hour you're dead. Problem solved.
Yeah.
And
I see that some people in chat are like, we just don't do the system. It's like the issue is, and I'm going to say this is going to come across as kind of weird, but this is not Zark Citizen. This is not Paul Citizen. This is not Astro Gemini Citizen. This is Star Citizen, and it's Chris Roberts' game. So if Chris Roberts thinks it's going to be added to the game, it's going to be added to the game.
Yeah,
and
I think I came off a little bit negative towards the system. I think it's a good system, and I think that it'll make for very interesting gameplay and more immersive gameplay as you get better at the things that you do, and maybe get a little worse at the things that you don't do. I just think that there are some things that people are concerned about that
are valid concerns.
That are valid concerns, but I think that CIG also understands these kinds of things, and they know what they're doing, and I think they will.
I just want to say one thing about all those stats. For one, they are necessary, because we call it stats, but let's be honest, it's not about stats. It's about your the state of your character. Yeah, it's always about the player state, and we already have this stat system in game. It's called injuries. If you injure your leg, your stats go down, and it's just an expansion onto it. So if you take, and I'm stressing the negative part of it, it's not just, okay, I'm just pushing my stats. No, if you eat the wrong thing because you went to a Banu and ate there, you might get sick, you might get glass bones, you might get weak to an insane degree. It can happen, and then you can't even carry one box. So you also have the negative spectrum of it. It's not just, I'm carrying boxes, I get stronger and stronger and stronger. No, you also have the other opposite. You eat the wrong thing, you get sick, you have to deal with it. If you don't deal with the sickness, it might even leave. It's already with the injuries. If you don't deal with your injury, it might become a permanent disability. You might permanent not be able to sprint.
Yeah. Or unless you get like a bionic enhancements, which are there to help you, that kind of stuff. You also have the issue of bionics, which they are going to have in the game. They knew that they were going to have in the game for a while. So,
and that's the whole point about the stat system. It's not about, okay, we have game stats, we have character stats, and you train them, and you equip something with purple rarity to boost your strength. No, it's just like in reality, the way you
Yeah.
live changes what you're able to do. If you do always FPS, you will be very fit. You will not be able to go into a fighter seat and do insane amounts of G like a dedicated fighter pilot, or you might not be able to actually carry some heavy boxes or something like a terminal worker would do, and so on and so on. And if you're very crazy and you just run around and eat everything you can get your hands on and juice yourself with everything because combat sims give you some sort of enhancement for 5 seconds, do it. In 2 months, your character can't do shit because you ruined the body.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
There are going to be consequences, and I think the easiest consequence is things like soft caps, daily logins. Like one of the things that I've been saying for a long time is that Star Citizen is going to make you sleep in game.
Yes.
And the way they'll do that is a soft cap, where there's going to say you can't do something. There's going to be something where you degrade over time. Your hunger goes up. Now that I know they have skills, that's what they're going to do. The longer you play, even if you're doing it, you're eventually going to start backsliding on skills because in terms of like
you don't even
immersion,
have to do this.
you're not going to sit there and lift weights. If I sat there for like 72 hours lifting weights, I'm not going to suddenly become Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's not how that works. Eventually there'll be a point of no return where I'm just going to hurt myself, and that's what they'll do something like that. So go ahead. Sorry.
Much easier. If you don't sleep enough, if you log out where you can't sleep, for example, might also some things, your vision gets blurry. Your character will fumble with things. So you don't even have to degrade some stats. It's just now you're overworked, you're tired. Your character can't reload anymore because you need 5 attempts for reloading. And all those things, and then you have to sleep.
Yeah. And so there's going to be ways because they want to encourage people to log out. I think especially if they want to be being regulated in South Korea and Japan, which have laws about how long you can play video games for. And
it's China, not Japan.
It's South Korea, I think, for sure.
And China. And China.
And China. They have laws about regulating time. And so there needs to be some method in there to say, hey, regulate your time. And we know that CIG recently did big bar citizens in South Korea, Indonesia, and China.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Like, they're going to have to regulate those things. So not from Japan. Okay.
It's China that has this law with how long you can play a day.
I don't think it's a law that you say like there's like you can only play certain things in like South Korea. I think it has to have like some sort of mention. You've been playing for 4 hours. Do you want to take a break?
In China, it's a hard cap for you can only log on for 2 hours a day, if even that. And it's not even, it's like pretty much internet provider controlled, if you want so. It's insane.
I'm trying to look through it. Yeah, I'm not finding it real quickly. But yeah, there's some sort of thing in there, and other regulations just would make sense anyways. And it also makes sense. It's literally in every other MMO. Every other MMO has a this is the amount of time your XP is going to stop, like a boost for that sort of XP and stuff like that. So, but anyways, yeah. So let's move on because we talked about that for 20 minutes and we still have a lot of questions to get through. All right. This is a good one. 3 Demonica asks, what do you think about the possibility of using the E1 Spirit as an SAR ship? Search and rescue ship. What do you think, Zark? That's the super.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Thing is, the E1 does not have a med bed.
Yeah.
Which is always bad for search and rescue. You kind of have the problem that you have to vent the whole rear section. You might try via the elevator if the elevator extends to the ground. So I don't really see it as search and rescue.
Yeah.
Maybe you could argue it's like search and rescue in terms of someone got kidnapped and you want to save them with style. You come with the E1, drop out with 5 guys, kill everyone, take the person, put her in a seat and ask, what do you want to drink? But aside from that, it's pretty much the crossbreed of you can run cargo or person transport.
Mhm.
But search and rescue, you can use it pretty much like everything. But if that's your focus, take a Cutty Red. Cutlass Red, you're done. That's search and rescue. If you want to go a bit bigger, Apollo. But the E1 is not worth it, especially
Yeah.
since it's just $50 cheaper than the Apollo. So
Yeah. And I think the E1 I think is a great ship, and I think its place in the verse lies elsewhere, because I think it's more of, because if the 890 Jump is a cruise ship, and the Constellation Phoenix is like your personal yacht, and the 600i is like your luxury RV, then the E1 Spirit is your private jet. It's not necessarily a ship that you're going to be living on. It's a ship that you're going to take to get from place to place in luxury.
maybe you put it on your 890 Jump if it fits. So you can move somewhere with steel and a couple of friends, which the 300 does not really offer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, I looked it up. It is a Korean law, but it's slightly different. It's if you're under the age of 16, you can only play 6 hours. It was called the sundown law or shutdown law, where like after where the things are game shut down
Okay.
after 6 hours. So I was right. I was right about South
Yeah.
Korea. But yeah.
If my mom would have allowed me to play 6 hours when I was 16 or younger,
16.
hey boy.
Yeah. So there I was right that there. I remember seeing that law. I think it was either repealed. It was repealed in 2021. That's why I remember it. Because
Yeah.
it was repealed in 2021. So that's where my brain went. Sorry, I was like I knew that it was more than just China that it had done that. But
Yeah.
I agree with you all though. It's in a pinch, but I don't think it's really designed as a search and rescue ship. You know.
Yeah.
We might see it eventually. That'd be a cool medical concept for the Spirit, which would be like a medical version of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I did notice a couple things about the Spirit though. The first is that the three models are somewhat different on the exterior. The C1 just has like a sleek hull. The A1 has looks like it has like visibly heavier armor and what looks like a radar dish
Mm-hmm.
on the top of it. And then the E1, the whole top of it is like a glass canopy, so you can see out, which is very nice. But there's also that turret on the back, which I believe is on rails, akin to the Scorpius.
The turret is only with the A1 and I believe the E1 because the C1 has a tractor beam instead.
Yeah. It's a tractor beam turret.
And what I find interesting is that who would have guessed the data on the ship is not
Accurate.
accurate. Yes, because
Yeah.
on the site itself it says you have 4 size 3 guns. On the brochure it's 2 size 3 and 2 size 2.
Yeah.
So by the way, it doesn't fit in the 890 according to the chat. They put a picture of it. The size is just slightly too wide. The wings are too wide. If they fold it
maybe you have to wiggle and then land.
You could probably if it's raised, you could probably put it on top. You can land it on top of it because I think if it's raised, you can still land something on top of it.
And I think we might see it with different states and something, but
Mm-hmm.
we just need a larger luxury yacht than the 890 Jump. We need the Origin 1200.
the origin a million. All right.
We on that topic, we just need capital ships in general, more
Yeah.
flyable capital ships in the game, which
I-
I hope comes soon with like the resource management stuff that
Yeah.
they're working on. But
It's obviously what they're hinting at. They're hinting
Yeah.
on with the resource management and with the server size increases they've been doing, and of course
Yeah.
the cap, the player cap, probably going up even further when they get server meshing, that kind of thing. So
they
Thing
kept
is,
showing the Idris in various things
yeah,
during CitCon yesterday. I was like, are they gonna tell us that the Idris is
it's done.
flyable now?
Yeah.
so the thing is, even though the systems for the capital ship might actually be there next year,
Mhm.
I don't think we'll see one soon in the verse because we will not see the Idris before Squadron has launched and probably 2 patches afterwards. They will give us, I say, 6, maybe 9 months of you play Squadron, then you can have the Idris. So probably at least 3 or 4 years for the Idris.
Well, we should be getting the Merchantman next year, most likely,
Yeah,
right?
but the Merchantman
which is
isn't
technically a
the-
capital.
Yeah, but it's not the capital ship the
It's a
people
capital ship,
want.
but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not one of the like colossal ones.
And we should also be getting the
But it is
Polaris.
still-
pretty big.
It is bigger than the 890. I'm not saying it's not big. It's
Yeah.
just not like Javelin big.
Yeah, but then let's talk Javelin. Javelin, I guess we will also not see for a similar amount of time because it's even bigger, even more monstrous,
Yeah.
and there are still things that have to be done on the ship, which leaves us with the Pioneer, which is pretty much only concept and will probably get a reconcept because we have a new
Yeah.
home building system.
Yeah, they have to
We-
completely finish what is it
Yep.
called, Rastar, for that.
Then next capital ship we have is the Endeavor, which will be the last ship ever to be introduced into the verse because
Yeah.
it will be a
It's
huge,
it's so
insane-
complex. It's
Yeah.
so complex is with the modularity
Yeah.
and it's entirely built around gameplay loops that don't even exist
Yeah.
yet in
And
Star Citizen. So we're
That's
not gonna see
that
for
leaves
ages.
that leaves pretty much only the Kraken at the
Yeah.
end,
Mhm.
and they have a gray box hull, but nothing else.
Yeah.
So they
I
would
heard
have to work
they-
on it.
I heard that they did a concept pass on the interior and decided it needed to be bigger. So
For the Kraken? Gosh, this thing needs to be huge. God damn.
But-
I almost choked my
but-
water
but-
when you said that.
But even then,
I think it's gonna be
If they-
over
if they-
300.
if they go now on the Kraken, it's 2 years minimum, and they are not
Minimum,
working
yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even though we have everything we need next year, and because someone said this, Polaris is not a capital ship in this regard because it's too small. It's not 250 meters above.
It's a Corvette, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's big. It's not capital ship big, but I am
Yeah.
excited for the Polaris. I think it looks great.
All right, let's move on to the next questions because we're still at the 30 minutes and we still have 8 questions left. Big Black Gaming asks, fauna, when? Which animal would come first in your prediction? So fauna, soon. Like, surprisingly soon. Because A, the slip up that we heard last night when Richard Tyre was like, they said, oh yeah, we fight people and creatures. And Chris was like, shh.
so
Yeah.
I
Space
say
Wells.
Yeah.
they talked about how they reimagined the whole AI system,
Mhm.
made it simpler. I guess that's the reason why we haven't seen creatures yet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
One of the reasons. So we have the AI system. We have server meshing, we have full persistence, so creatures actually matter. Because now if you're somewhere, there is something that will hunt you, you're in trouble. I guess we already have quite a few creatures ready, at least from the model standpoint.
Yeah.
So all that's left is slotting it in. So I
Yeah.
could see it 4.0 pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
easily.
Well, I think bringing up the AI is kind of an interesting point because even Chris acknowledged that the AI currently in the PU can be kind of brain dead. So I think they want to make sure that the human enemies in the game are like actually acting like human enemies would before they start adding in like monsters and trying to make them act like monsters would.
I have to correct it there because the AI in the verse is not brain dead. If you ever had the pleasure to be on a fresh server, the AI wipes your ass. He wipes it.
They go hard. The joke that I used to make is they're either brain dead or they're SEAL Team 6.
Yes.
It's either carb.
Nine times out of 10, they just stand there and let you shoot them.
Yeah.
The 10th time you walk in and get like 80 rounds in you before you even.
There's like they're all set up waiting for you to go with heavy like the machine guns prepared and around corners, and you just walk out and you just see a barrage of bullets coming at you. It's like, what the hell happened? Why did they wake up? You know,
Christian bunkers are like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna
because
get.
they're brain dead is actually the server. So server meshing would have done wonders for the AI as it is now. But I guess with them making the AI simpler itself, it's even less dependent on the server. So guys, get some friends because SEAL Team 6 will wait for you.
Yeah.
It's
and that's the thing. I think it's an important thing to remember about AI development. I think both of y'all hit it on the head, is that AI is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And I've been following I do monthly reports reads, and I actually just finished a monthly report read that I put up the other day. Unfortunately, I released it right before CitizenCon because this is when I usually release it. So it has like 5 people have watched it. But I talk about.
I still haven't gotten around to watch it.
There's just so many people who are gonna wait for it because so many other things. But if you've been watching my monthly reports stuff, every month they've talked about AI. They've just talked about extensive, to the point where like people in my chat were making jokes about it. It's like, where is this AI tech? They've been talking about it for a year, and where's this AI tech? That was really nice to see at CitizenCon.
That showcase at CitizenCon was great. That was really good showcase. I think the AI, watching them go and sweep areas was really neat, and I think they did a really good job visualizing that with like the little bubbles everywhere showing like where they had checked and stuff and like that. I think that was a very good way to visualize it for like the layman.
And like the anecdote where they said they tried like 20 times to capture the one scene in game without dying. And that's very promising because it means I will actually hit you hard.
I think the one small gameplay showcase that they showed where they were just kind of pinned behind a box and one of the AI ran up to like a vantage point so they could shoot over the top of the box while 2 of the others went around either side. I thought, wow, that they are actually like using like angles and tactics and stuff like that, and that's gonna be pretty scary to fight against, but also really fun because they are going to be very intelligent and not just like charge straight at you like a lot of AI in games.
And how they roll the dice, which AI gets which role.
Yeah, that's the great part. Yeah, so the trait system is cool because I can go in a little more depth than they did because I've actually been following a lot of the stuff. They can bolt on any behavior to the trait system. So they didn't talk about this, but they actually added a berserker mode to AI. So you could roll as a pusher berserker, which would mean that you could get an AI that has a shotgun that's rolling at you that will go into like straight up in your face, like roll straight into you. Instead of like berserker always is like, or pusher is always going to go at you. It's going to kind of keep you down. It's going to try to. Berserker is like, I'm going to kill you in the most brutal way possible.
Yeah.
Or you could get Yeah, it's like a stand back mode where like someone is going to stand back far away from the combat and try to hit
Hey,
you
Paul,
from a distance.
Yeah.
Do you
You know.
remember the one sentence in one of the mental reports where it talked about the Vandal, where it's like, you don't want to be on the other end
Dark
of the
Souls.
spear?
Dark Souls. Dark Souls citizen. I remember saying that.
There you go, further times 10.
When Chris mentioned, he said I want to talk a little bit about AI. So I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring recently, and I was like, no, Chris, no.
Yeah, that's Chris. I mean, the whole like Star Citizens, the concept of Star Citizens realism or like intensity, like Death of a Spaceman, comes from Dark Souls. Chris is a huge Dark Souls stan. Like that man loves the Dark Souls series.
The thing is, the whole. I mean, I love that Star Citizen takes a lot more inspiration from Dark Souls and Elden Ring, as many people might even recognize. The whole you don't know where you go stuff. The whole you have to think and read stuff. That's all the Elden Ring and Dark Souls experience.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. That's why we are here, because we have had enough from putting up Assassin's Creeds and having 5 bazillion markers on the map. Here you can go and find this. Okay, and why should I go there? I know what I find there. Huh? You already told me anything.
Yeah, and that's the key. Is I think that's the thing with fauna. Bringing this back to the fauna, that's the key. Is you need to have that diverse idea set. You need to have a boreal stalker which will berserker at you, will come straight at you and just keep hitting you until you mush onto the ground, and then
he's not dead with 5 shots in the chest or something.
Yeah,
because the thing is huge.
But then there'll be another one that just stalks you and like wait and like tries to get in your like blind spot.
And ones
camouflage and stuff like that on the snow.
And ones that just run away from you, that just don't want to be near you, like that kind of thing. And they need those sorts of behaviors to make the world feel more alive with AI, with human AI as well as fauna AI. And as far as the first one we're going to get, I already know that because they told us in a monthly report. It's called the rock bug.
That's right, they did.
Yeah,
they did talk about that.
And just for you, Tanik, I cut my finger. And it had to be stitched, so now I have to.
Now you have 2 fingers. You said you
nearly.
Oof.
Gladly, it was a sharp knife, so the wound wasn't problematic, but it got nearly to the bone. So yeah.
Oof. Glad you're okay. Yeah, stone bug. Thank you, Alec.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next question. We've been tackling these big ones. Do you think we could see some transport shuttles we currently have in existing cities in future systems with new cities? So I think he's asking like the Crusader shuttles or like the trains from Lorville.
I guess everything will have its own style. It will to fit into the city. I mean, if we're honest, the train from Lorville is the same as the train from Microtech, but with their own visual style.
Yeah. Well, I think aren't the trains in the Lorville Metro, aren't they manufactured by Argo?
Yes, they're all of them are manufactured. All of the trains are manufactured by Argo, even the floating trains and the Microtech one. They're all made by Argo.
Yeah.
So
but then Crusader has their own shuttles because they decided to do their own thing. So I think just the fact that all these other trains come from the same manufacturer, which is Argo, speaks to the fact that we could see nearly identical trains in future cities where they just say, oh hey, Argo makes this model of train.
More interested is because let's face it, the transportation is always the same system. Just that the flight shuttle doesn't run on tracks, but it's using pretty much the same tech as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
So I'm much more interested in what kinds of transportation will we see, like having a boat that goes between islands because
like
the
a
city
ferry,
is
yeah.
on an archipelago, or do
That'd
we
be
have a true bus where we enter
Oh,
because
yeah.
we run along streets?
That'd be
That's
cool.
the interesting
Or
part.
like a trolley, like where you can like hop in and hop off where you're going. You know?
Yeah.
One thing I've always wanted to see in like a sci-fi video game is something that you see in like cartoons where it's just like a tube and it just like sucks you
Oh yeah,
down
like
through the
Futurama,
tube
Futurama
and
style.
takes you somewhere else. But I think that would be really cool. Put that on like an alien world or something like that. You just travel through tubes.
Like a Banu transportation system where you get shot around in tubes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Next question comes from Othamon, who asks, "Which did you vote for, RSI, MISC, or Argo?" I voted for Argo, but that's because I'm an Argo stan. So
I also voted for Argo because they are missing a large ship, and I kind of want to see what it looks like.
Yeah, I have not voted yet because I forgot. but if the voting is still open, I think I'll probably I'll probably vote for Argo because Argo needs a big ship.
Mhm.
RSI has quite a few big ships. MISC also has quite a few big ships, especially on the way with all the Hull series and the Odyssey and stuff like that. So, plus the Odyssey can also mine for itself. It's got a mining laser, so I don't think MISC needs another mining ship. So yeah, I think Argo.
Scorpion, Scorp, thank you so much for that raid.
If I had to pick something outside of those three, though, I think an alien mining ship would be really cool to see. See in the verse. That I think that would be extremely unique, and kind of set it apart from the current mining ships because we don't have all of the alien ships that we have in game currently are all fighters basically.
Yeah.
Or
except
combat ships. Well, but
The railing is not in the game.
That's not in the game right now. But I think we need more alien ships that are like for utility because like aside from the Vanduul who are like super warlike, like these alien races, they got to have more than just combat ships.
Yeah, Banu specifically are not really combat oriented. They do have combat, but they don't really focus on it. And the Xi'an have vast networks of trade and other things like that. So
yeah, I'll be honest. I would have either chosen a Tavarine or a Grey Cat mining ship if I had could have been
Grey Cat would have been my choice.
A Tavarine mining ship would have been really cool. Really cool to see.
And thank you, Scorp, for trolling me with your love of the Redeemer. I hate you. I hate you all, and I hate CIG for forcing me to get one of those ships because, like, I didn't think. For those who don't know, they gave me one. It's an LTI.
They did.
It's unmeltable. I cannot melt it. I cannot upgrade it, and I can't gift it. It's stuck in my account forever. As long as
you have a great ship now, it's great. I love.
I'm gonna blow it up out of principle every time I log in.
Or salvage it, dismantle it into its tiny bits, and never ever claim it.
Oh,
no! Don't tell the insurance company.
Just don't tell the insurance company. I'll try to get them to take it from me. Just take it. Just never bring it back, please. I don't want it. All right. Next question comes from Ionic Gecko, who asks, now that we've seen a bit of Q Boost, what are your thoughts what thoughts of gameplay does it bring? Start with you on this, Zark. What is about Q Boost?
I'm kind of torn because Q Boost is necessary.
Yeah.
But the work in progress version we have seen is not something I'm really happy about. I find the forced minigame a bit strange, to be honest. Trying to hold your ship. I mean, what is pulling my ship from its target? That's the first question I had. Why is my ship trying to move to some side? Don't know why. Aside from that, it's great, and they pretty much already told us what kind of gameplay we see. It's going scanning stuff, finding stuff, exploring stuff, and this opens up all the other possibilities. It's like, okay, you want let's jump back to Pyro. You are in a gang war. You're the gang you are affiliated with says, hey, they have a shipyard in this asteroid belt.
Mhm.
And you have to sabotage it. So you have two options. You can either go, okay, I go in big, or I can go and bomb it up, or I go in small and sabotage it. Okay. But to get there, you have to go with your ship into the belt, scan, go to the things you found with your scanning, trying to be low key about it, because if you aren't, they will, the enemies will open the hunt for you. So now you have stealth gameplay with the Q boost integrated, and then you have to explore what you found with your scanner, Q boosting in, take a look. Again, not trying to be spotted, because then you have a problem. Maybe you found it, maybe not. Then you have to scan again and go to the next station. That's pretty much what gameplay gets enabled. This opening up more space, because there can be things in space, because if they are 50,000 kilometers away, you can reach it. Same for the planet. You can scan the planet. It's 2,000 kilometers away. Q-boost 10. Q-boost to it, and be done.
All right, Astro, your thoughts on Q Boost?
Yeah, I think it's a valuable addition. Just being like one of the biggest pain in the butts is like you're trying to get somewhere that doesn't have like a dedicated waypoint for it. Like for example, the like the Javelin wreck on Daymar. It trying to get there, you have to uh jump some to like the closest point and then manually fly in, and it takes forever to get there. So I think just helping to like speed up getting to locations that don't currently have a like a quantum marker, a quantum beacon, is great. I do agree with Zark though that the like mini game thing is a bit weird. The HUD for it that they, or the UI for it, is d- not very good looking, and it's
This is work in
very
progress.
work in progress. But it did seem a little bit strange, the whole like keep the circle in the circle mini game.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure about that, but I think overall the idea is great, and that'll be a great
The only thing
addition to gameplay.
I would mention is that we have to be aware of the danger of distance does not matter anymore. The other thing, what you told about, okay, now something is a bit away, I can just go in with the QT boost. So especially on planets, it should be not possible to engage in QT boost, because if we remove the importance of distance,
Mhm.
then we get problems. Then we really have problems, because then persistence doesn't matter as much, logistics doesn't matter as much, and so on and so on and so on.
Yeah.
And
Well,
especially on planets where we have,
I think keep it so that you can't use it in atmosphere. But if
Yeah.
you're up in orbit and just using it to like circle around the planet, I think so that you don't have to like go to an orbital marker and then
maybe
manually fly 500 kilometers,
maybe put a range limit to it, like you can't
whatever.
QT if you're closer than 1,000 kilometers to something.
That is also going to the one problem about that is that'll kill low flying, like dead, because you can't go up to 1,000. You can't. The only way you can uncap your flight is if is if you go into QT mode in the quantum mode that they're doing. So, like, you wouldn't be able to do it.
You don't have to quantum boost if you're in the QT mode.
No, but QT mode is three modes. The master mode is just QT mode, but there's 3 modes. There's what we have now, which is the uncapped.
SPM.
Yeah, the above SCM mode, because we're going above 300, and then there's the Q quantum boost, and then there's the quantum. The quantum boost is kind of between the two. Go fast and that.
I'll be honest. I'm kind of thrilled because maybe with those segregations, we might see that ships can fly a lot faster with an atmosphere. And I remember though, and I love going on a moon because they have such thin atmosphere and just going 600-700 meters a second, this close above the ground, and just one more wrong thing you do and you crash.
Yeah.
And such things through the cliffs of Thurston. Yes, just yes.
All right, moving on. Sorry, I was checking something real quick. I think quantum boost is needed, just hands down. The quantum boost mode is needed. There's lots of it. People have been asking to not have to have a marker to quantum forever. This is what this is that. That's that. As simple as that. You want to explore, you need this. So and it will get refined as we play it. Yeah. So
my favorite.
And if you want to get entered to their Kazaram, you're going to have to click that link and then go in there. It's just one ticket per person, so it makes it safe and easy for everyone to do. So, all right, let's continue on. Death Trooper asks, "What did you want to have seen at CitizenCon that they didn't show?" Zark already knows his answer. The Anvil capital ship. Astral.
What did I want to see at CitizenCon that they didn't show? The whole sea.
Okay.
For one, I wanted some kind of confirmation as to where that is, and also obviously Ben and Merchantman. Although we've seen that in several ISCs recently.
So about the
we know
Hull C confirmation, the thing is the ship is pretty much done.
Yeah.
It's just waiting for the cargo refactor. So I guess 319 you will see it. And we probably get something announced like this during the IAE.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what I am expecting as well.
The one thing I didn't see, which I was hoping for, which I knew I wasn't going to get, but it was one of those things when they announced it, I was hoping for, was more clarifications on jump points. Because that's the thing. Like, we don't know, because like right now, the old system is small, medium, large jump points.
Yeah.
And we have no idea what that means.
Yeah, there was some time ago, there was some sort of clarification that you can go with one size larger than the jump point is. The ship can be one size larger than the jump point. So a large jump point can take a capital ship.
Yeah.
A medium jump point can take a large ship. A small jump point can take.
But then you also have the problem with the medium jump point between Pyro and Stanton is hosting Idris's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense in that context. So
I assume they'll probably give us more info when Pyro gets closer and that becomes more pertinent, because I think right now they are just kind of going off of like it's not that relevant for people to know about how the jump point works. Because
I mean, the thing is, if you ever taken a look at the star map and played around with the jump point routes a bit, depending on how restrictive they are with the size, oh boy, can be having a large ship be a pain in the ass, because you can't get anywhere. Something like a Javelin, better spawn it in the right system. Otherwise, you can only move between two. It's insane.
Yeah. So it's like it'd be nice to have their thoughts at least on that, because I think they're going to eventually have to come back and say, by the way, we've completely reworked the jump point system because it didn't make any sense to us, so we're going to change it to something else. I mean, and like there's the popular theory that the info runners have, which is it has more to do with stability than it has to do with size. So the bigger it is, the more stable it is. The smaller it is, the less stable it is. So, but you know, that's just that. All right, next question comes from Mistral 19K, who asks, what is your vision of what a UEE world would look like? Stanton is a corporate system, but what are your thoughts on the imperial world that could be in terms of architecture, style, etc.? Have you been to any modern metropolitan city in the last 20 years? Anywhere on the planet? Like that.
Yeah,
So
pretty much. It's
the thing is,
Earth.
Not really, because the thing is, yes, you have the UEE, but you have all those planets with different environments. So talking about city development, depending on what your environment is, depending on what you want from your city, you build it differently. Like for example, Lorville with the whole spaceport in the middle, you have the huge tower overlooking everything. The city is an insanely bad city from a modern Earth perspective because it's polluted. You have all the sounds and noise right in the middle. But from the perspective of your employer, someone who is an authoritarian industrial tyrant, it's a great city. It's great. You always remind people who has the might, who is saying where we're going. You have the center perfect in the middle, and even the walls make sense because you have the sandstorms outside, and the walls break it up so they can't just flow through the city. So for other planets, you will have some sort of similar structures like skyscrapers, but like in Europe, you don't have a lot of skyscrapers. Many cities don't have any or very few because Europe does not have the culture of skyscrapers.
Yeah.
And depending on the planet, for example, if you have a desert planet, a very hot planet, you might find that the city is mostly underground.
Yeah, but I mean, like in general,
cooler,
I wouldn't expect it like to vary too much from modern metropolitan. Now, it depends on, as you're saying, it depends on the culture, it depends on the development of that system.
There
but I think the question
there
is
could be
more,
a planet that's just a resort planet.
Yeah, there is. There's several.
It's a UEE planet, but it's just a resort planet, and everything is bougie and a resort. Or there's a planet that's run by UEE, but it's an entirely industrial planet and just has industrial plants. So I think
if you want to take a look how a UEE world could look like, take New York, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Munich, Berlin, Dubai, Tokyo,
Beijing,
and compare Beijing
Sydney,
and compare those 8 cities. You see those cities have some commonalities, but they are sometimes completely different.
Yeah. And I think that the question was more of like what would we see in a core UEE world? And I think the answer is look at the Terra concept, and that's kind of what they're going to go for. You can also see concepts for like Angeli and Van, which are both major planets in the UEE.
Yeah.
They have their own cities and stuff like that. They're from the Kershaw system, so I would expect lots of urban development in a lot of these really core worlds with some industrial capabilities. So, all right, let's take a look at the next one, which is Gin and Tonic, who asks, "What should happen to your attributes and techniques when you regenerate?" Personally, they should devalue, just like reputation.
Yeah, I think I think that I was listening to the conversation you were having with the before we came on with Darge and them. But yeah, I agree. They should deteriorate, but I think that Someone mentioned, I was just listening to it, so I wasn't sure who was the one that mentioned it, but they said, um, depending on where you regenerate, it changes like how much of your stats are lost. If you're regenerating somewhere with really good medical facilities and like paying a premium for it, then you might only lose 5%. But if you're regenerating in like a seedy underground like chop shop, you might lose 20% or something like that because you get what you pay for.
So the first thing is, I'm not sure if you really should lose or gain stats, because let's say you take a bad medicine that drops your stamina down, or you eat something bad, your stats degrade. Now you kill yourself and your stats are back full again, or are not as degraded as before. That's the kind of thing I see problematic there. The other thing is, I've listened to a very cool audiobook series called Undying Mercenaries. Short summary is, world is enacted into an interstellar empire, and the only resource we have is people that can fight. We are a blood-hungry barbaric race in the eyes of those guys, and to fight, we buy resurrection machines. They just pop out a new body, you download your brain, and go on. And there are two very interesting things. First, you have to update your body, because if you don't update it, it does not take with it changes. So if you train but don't update your body and you die, you're back to the untrained body. So this would be one thing I would love to see, that you have to update your imprint. If you don't update your imprint, your gains or losses will not be kept. So this might actually be very, very interesting, because now you eat something bad and your stats drop, and you said, okay, maybe I just kill myself, but I have all those other gains I have. I would lose them too. And do I save now? Because then I save the bad stat before I can remove it. So do I remove the stat first? So now we have some interaction there. And the other part I find very interesting is in the novels is that being immortal or resurrected over and over again messes with your brain.
Yeah.
So you're not you don't care anymore so much. I mean, we player might be used to it because we don't care about our body. If it dies,
how old is this series? Because this sounds exactly like regeneration in Star Citizen lore. Because if it's recent, then they read it.
No. It's like it's like
kind of going on the thing of like someone choosing to kill themselves to get rid of like a bad status condition. But isn't there also a plan for like your DNA signature to degrade a little bit every time you get regenerated, so that like with a specific character there's only a certain number of times you can get regenerated before you have to essentially make a new person, right?
Yeah. There's a reroll limit. It's called the imprint viability score. And as your imprint goes down, you will no longer be able to like use an arm or a leg, and it'll have to be replaced with.
So the first novel is from 2013.
Okay, so it's pretty new.
So 9 years ago. Yeah.
So
and
but it's not something that you wanna that like death would be the solution to just get rid of a bad status, because it would like reduce your stats, because it might get rid of your bad status, but then you're also getting rid of one of your like good regenerations that you get before you have to start.
But that's again, that's the thing. How long does an imprint last? We don't know yet.
You don't know yet.
And maybe if you only die once a month, your imprint doesn't degrade. Might even be that like. And the other thing is, what I would find really interesting is that, like cyberpunk has cyberpsychosis, we might get regeneration psychosis. So
Mhm.
people don't care about lives anymore. This might be, for one, a pretty interesting storyline to follow,
Mhm.
but it might
See-
also be something that they could use to mess with the player's impression of things, like the your HUD so your friend foe identification might sometimes just flip around, because it doesn't matter, because your player does not recognize someone as a friend, because so what if he kills him?
Okay, yeah, or you start seeing the wrong thing. You look around and your eyes see you see an enemy and it's actually a friend. You could do stuff like that.
Or you see echoes from a death 5 deaths ago.
Yeah, like a little glitch in the Matrix where people like see a glitch and they're like, oh, that's a weird glitch in the game. It's like, no, it's your character losing his mind. I could see those happening for as interesting consequences. The reason why I say a degradation, though, I think it should degrade, is simply because it makes life more valuable for players. Because if you're like, I spent 12 hours grinding up, or I spent I've spent months getting this character to exactly where I want to. I have all of the stats that I really like, or not stats necessarily, but like I've got all the things I need, how to play. I feel it feels right. This character feels right. I don't want him to die, because then I'm going to have to go back and regain some of these skills because I lost them, sort of thing. So,
but that's why I say you should have to physically update your imprint.
Yes, that's a great reason why too.
For one, it's like, okay, now I trained, now I first have to update my imprint.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest, I already value my life, because if I die there on this mission and I don't have someone to resurrect me, I take hours to get there back.
Oh yeah, it takes so long.
And this will even go more tedious as we go to Pyro, as we go to other systems where we have less revival stations and more space. And so I think even the imprint degradation does not necessarily have to be there, in that sense, as if you update your imprint, you reset the imprint degradation. This means if you have one perfect imprint, obviously you can't override the imprint with a freshly revived body. Reason X, Y, doesn't matter now. But this also means, do you keep your imprint with your perfect body, but risk to permanently die? Or do you go and say, okay, my body has somewhat degraded, somewhat changed. Do I update now? But I don't have the perfect body anymore.
Yeah. But refresh the imprint that we don't have.
The thing is that you're always connected to your Ibrahim sphere imprint. It's always connected to you, so it's always updating you. So your body won't be perfect. Your body will be over wherever you are at the last moment, but the imprint would change. They have talked about how the level of the imprint, how good the imprint is, will matter. So if you say, like you were saying, like say you could, especially if there's some degradation going on with like skills or other things, you're like, I could respawn, but if I respawn, I could set my imprint here, but if I reset my imprint here in Pyro, they have a garbage system. It's barely functioning. I'm going to lose some more imprint viability score. There might be some other things. Do I just risk it and go throughout the rest of this? And then if I get regen, I regen back in all the way back in Stanton. So I have to like hours of remake time. So I think that matters more, especially with Pyro. We're over time, so I'm gonna wrap this up here. Thank you for the discussions, y'all. If you enjoyed this, please make sure you're following Astral Gemini on YouTube. Make sure you check out Zark on the Discord, on my Discord. You'll find him. And make sure you, if you're watching this after the fact, after we've already done the live stream, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like the video. Comment down below. Let me hear your own thoughts, your own questions down below as well. And as always, as I like to always say, hope to see you someday in the black. Later, y'all.